Good evening and welcome to tonight's Common Council meeting for September 30th, 2025. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Tauschek.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Matsdorf.
Here.
Gilson.
Here.
Hockey.
Here.
Penkwitz.
Here.
Binder.
Here.
Sandy.
Here.
Let the record show we have a quorum. Next is a pledge. Please stand. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Sandy.
Yes.
Hockey.
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Penkwitz.
Yes.
Tauschek.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Binder.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 4 is the audience portion where we ask people to sign in and be recognized by the chair. That's where you do the talking and we do the listening. Tonight we have one person who signed up, John McGraw. Did I get that right, John? You can stand there and use your outside voice. The microphone will pick you up. Tell us what's on your mind.
Yes, that is correct. That is my name. The reason I'm supposed to say the reason why I'm here. Okay. The reason why I'm here is, okay, so I own a business in town here. It's Twisted LLC. I've been working on a project underneath there, like a painting for Next Step Insurance, because they're my landlords, and I told them that I would do it. Pro bono is for free. But there has been a lot of issues down there, spray painting with the kids, things like that. Also, the parking ramp itself is falling apart, deteriorating very bad. I had brought it to, when it happened, one of the pieces fell off the concrete and almost hit my 3-year-old nephew in the head. Probably would have killed him. His dad works for me, so I told him that I would come down here and talk to you guys about it. I did report it, but it's kind of an issue. I'm just real worried because it's not only for the public safety, but also because I don't want them to get sued. Like, I like this town, so, and my business is here, and it's doing very well, and it's very prosperous, but I don't want more harm to come to the city itself. So that's all.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it when people come in and tell us what's on their issue in mind, and also to inform the city administrator's office and his staff with situations. Thank you. Moving on to item 5, no items were removed from the consent agenda, not needed. Moving on to item 6. Ordinance number 14, an ordinance amending Title 10, Chapter 2, related to the play vehicles and electric scooter, and repealing Section 11-2-16 related to motorized scooters of the municipal code of the city of Plymouth, Wisconsin. Tim, you want to give us a summary on this, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So at the August 12th Committee of the Whole meeting, Chief Ruggles and staff provided an update on a future municipal code change related to scooters, bicycles, and play vehicles related to changes in state statute. At the September 9th meeting, there was discussion regarding children and bicycle helmets. The general direction from the committee was to incorporate that concept into the whereas provisions of the ordinance. So the proposed ordinance has not changed from the version that was presented on August 12th that meets the updates required by state code. However, there are 2 additional whereas clauses at the top of the amendment, which I'll read. Whereas the Common Council recognizes the safety benefits of wearing helmets while riding a bicycle or scooter, and whereas the Common Council further finds that public safety may be enhanced through these amendments to city code, and will continue to encourage bicycle and scooter safety. Noting that, staff does recommend a motion to approve ordinance number 14 as presented.
I'll move approval. I'll second the motion for approval.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve. Thank you for the first and the second. Thank you. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Herman,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Penquitz,
Yes.
Gilson,
yes,
Sandy,
Yes.
Tauschek,
Yes.
Hawky.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item 7, new business. Tonight we have a presentation and discussion on procedural rules, open meetings training, and our city attorney, Crystal Feber, is going to take the gavel and enlighten us on open meetings.
Mayor. All right, good evening, everyone. So we're going to review open meetings and public records laws tonight. My goal for this evening is not to make you all experts in this area of law, but I do want you to come away from this being able to issue stock. So if you encounter a public records request or you find yourself in a situation, I want you to be able to think, what did Crystal say about this? Maybe I should ask someone. So that's my goal for tonight. So first we're going to talk about the open meetings law. And the policy that's set by the legislature there is that the public is to have the fullest and most complete information regarding the affairs of government as is compatible with the conduct of governmental business. So that last segment, as is compatible with the conduct of governmental business, there are some exceptions to open meetings laws that we'll talk a little bit about later. But in terms of the policy, our policy starts with everything's open to the public. And that goes for both our meetings and for our public records that we'll review as well. And feel free to stop me as I go through if you have questions. I don't have very many numbers in here for you, so it's not numbers based. If you didn't get enough at the last meeting, we'll have to wait till Tim talks to you next about budget.
Fair enough.
So the agenda, there are certain things that state law requires that we have on the agenda. It's the time, date, place, and the subject matter of the meeting. And the subject matter is somewhat subjective as to how detailed that needs to be, but it needs to be sufficiently detailed to give the public notice about what you're going to discuss. And so there is case law that says if it's something that is known to be of great public interest, make sure you're including enough language so that the public is alerted to what the governmental body is going to discuss. And then the timing in general is 24 hours in advance of the meeting. So as all of you know, we're well ahead of that when the council agenda packets go out. We're way ahead of the 24 hours. But the absolute minimum set by state law is 24 hours. There is an emergency exception that would allow for a public meeting to be convened upon 2 hours notice to the public. But an emergency exception does not mean we forgot to put something on the agenda. It's really a true emergency. The only time I can recall using it is when I had a municipality as a village. The village president died suddenly and unexpectedly. And the village board wished to meet quickly to determine what to do about this vacancy of their village president. So that gives you an idea of when you might use an emergency exception, but otherwise it's 24 hours and that's the goal. So what is a governmental body? A governmental body is going to be the Common Council, all of the city committees, the commissions, the boards, whether they're established by the statute, whether it's something you created in the city code, or if a public officer creates a committee. So if Tim decides to put together a committee to give him ideas about how to create some public artwork in a city park. That would be a committee created by a public officer. Now you're subject to open meetings. Staff are not subject to open meetings, so when I meet with Tim and the other staff members, so if we pull in the Director of Public Works on it, we're not noticing that up as a meeting. We are not a governmental body, so we're allowed to get together and discuss things.
Crystal,
Yes.
this would be people on committees that aren't older persons, right?
Right, it can be a mixture. So your plan commission. we've got a mixture of alderpersons and those that are appointed, but those are going to be your public, they're going to be governmental bodies for purposes of the open meetings laws and public records laws. Yep, but it's really anything. That if you're doing work for the city, if you've been appointed to a role, or if you've been elected.
An appointed committee would be like, we have the ad hoc library committee.
Exactly.
And that's a public committee.
Yep, any ad hoc committee is going to be subject to the open meetings laws. And a meeting itself is a gathering of members of a governmental body for the purpose of exercising responsibilities and authority that's vested in the body. And we use a purpose test and a numbers test to determine if we have a meeting. So our purpose test is why. Why do we have people getting together? It can be discussion, information gathering, or decision making. So you may have a meeting even if there isn't voting. That isn't going to be what's the driver as to whether it's a meeting or not. The one that I think throws people off is the information gathering. So if you are out somewhere gathering information as a group about something that might come before you for a decision, then you've met the purpose test, right? So if you all want to go tour a certain, I don't know, city park together, we need to notice it up as a meeting if you're going to go to this park and look at things and make decisions about what artwork you want placed somewhere at the park. So if you are there for the purpose of gathering information about something you're going to make a decision later on, you're meeting the purpose test. And then we go to the numbers test. So it's enough members of the body to determine the outcome. So if the purpose test is also met, then the law says you're having a meeting. And then there's a presumption. So this is a presumption created by law. If half or more of the members of a governmental body are present, a statutory presumption exists that there's a meeting. And then you would have the burden to overcome that presumption by showing that you haven't met the purpose test. And so there are certain exceptions, like a social gathering or a chance encounter. So if you all go to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities seminar and are learning about certain things there together as a group, we're going to say that that's okay, even though you are information gathering. There's exceptions under the law for those types of activities.
When you say members, that's elected members, right?
It doesn't have to be. So your plan commission has a lot of appointed members. If you have at least half of your plan commission members who are doing something together, information gathering over something that they're going to be asked to make a decision later on, that could certainly be a meeting.
What about department heads?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope, not department heads, because those are staff members. If Tim said, I'm going to create a department heads committee, and this is what they're responsible for doing, now we may have a governmental body. But otherwise, no, we don't have, department heads aren't included. Other questions about that? Okay. Overlapping meetings. At the bottom of agendas, you typically see what we call a back-key notice. And that is a product of the back-key case, which was the Village of Greendale. And in the back-key case, they had village board members who regularly attended a plan commission meeting. So the village board members go to plan commission to learn about projects that are going on. And there was a housing development. And all these village board members, not all of them, there's 7-member board, about 4 of them were regular going to the meetings. That's a majority of the village board. And they're learning about a project that's ultimately going to come before the village board for decision. And so the Backey case tells us, you can't do that. You've been having meetings of your village board. You've just been noticing it as a plan commission meeting. But you knew, village, that there was a strong chance that you were going to have a majority of your village board members there. You regularly sent them the plan commission agendas. And so you are having a meeting. And so that's what the bad key notice does, is it alerts the public that there may be overlapping meetings that occur. My recommendation is, if you know that you're gonna have a majority of another governmental body, just flat out say that on the agenda. You know, it is likely that a majority of the Common Council will be in attendance for information gathering, but don't put it on every agenda. We're trying to alert the public that we think that there's going to be a meeting, and that's really what BACI intends to do. Questions about that? All right. Other meetings that you may not, that really aren't intuitive, that you don't necessarily realize are meetings until maybe after the fact. Emails. So it may be that Anna shoots out an email to all of the Common Council. Don't hit reply all. The judges have said that that is when you are responding that way to each other, you are having a meeting outside of the public's ability to view. And it hasn't been properly noticed up. So you can't reply all, don't do it. And it could also be a series of successive emails as well. And so telephone calls are another one. So you can't all get on the phone and talk to each other about how you're going to decide something that comes in front of you. And that really gets into the walking quorum. So a walking quorum is when you have a series of successive meetings. So it might be Alder Binder and Alder Penquitz. They meet and they discuss something, just the two of them, and they say, we hate this proposal, we're gonna vote this down. And then Alder Binder contacts Alder Sandy, they have the same discussion. And then Alder Sandy contacts Alder Tauschuk, and they have the same discussion. So it wasn't all four of them together, but the series of successive discussions that were had collectively make it a farce to come in front of the public and have the discussion, because it's already been decided behind closed doors, outside of the public's ability to observe. So that's what a walking quorum is. And so that's why you've got to be very careful when you are having discussions with each other about making decisions and then talking to somebody else about that. So keep that in mind, a walking quorum is prohibited under law. So what does open to the public really mean? So it needs to be reasonably accessible to the public. We need to provide access for individuals with disabilities, and you'll see that on the bottom of your agendas as well. We include language if somebody needs assistance in gaining access to the meeting. They have the ability to contact Leah Fetterwish to help with accessibility. I get a lot of questions about recording, filming, and photography. That's part of what open meetings means, is that someone can come and record this meeting. We typically have them recorded, but if we didn't, people can come and record the meeting. They can take photographs of you, but what they can't do is disrupt the meeting. So they have the ability to observe, and they can record their observations, but they can't disrupt the Common Council meeting. Voting. The public has a right to see how you're voting. We do a lot of roll call voting. Some of it is by voice vote, but all of it is in public, so that those in attendance are watching through their television, have the ability to see how their elected officials are voting. And then public comment. So, Mayor, I'll put you on the spot here. Do you think public comment is required by law?
No. I want to.
That is absolutely correct. It is not required. So open to the public doesn't include public comment. It's something that you, as the Common Council, have decided is going to be part of your regular agenda. And you hear the mayor say, when we have public comment, this is your opportunity to listen, but you're not going to be engaging in debate with individuals who come before you to offer their public comment. The state law requires the public's ability to observe your proceedings, but there is no ability to interject into the discussions of the Common Council, and there's no requirement for public comment. It's something that you as the council have chosen to allow. All right, closed sessions. So there are a variety of closed sessions. I just highlighted a few which you are more likely to see. But conferring with legal counsel on litigation in which the city is involved or likely to become involved. I believe that's what is on your agenda later tonight for a closed session discussion. So it gives you an opportunity to talk to me about any litigation matters, employee hiring, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation. So if there is a performance evaluation or a discussion about compensation for the city administrator, that's something that can be done in closed session. If it is a general employment policy, no. We can't just have general policy discussions like, hey, we think everybody should have 5 more days of vacation. No, it's got to be a specific employee that we're talking about. Purchasing public property, investing public funds, and this is the key, when competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. So there's a fair amount of case law that's developed about this closed session language, and the key really is that when competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. So if we're negotiating a development agreement, we can't invite the developer into the closed session to talk about it with them. It would completely negate the competitive or bargaining reason. They're here and they're hearing everything. And the desire to keep something confidential isn't one of the closed session options. And then the considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons. So again, we need to have a specific person here. It can't be just a general discussion about financial or medical information, but if there's going to be some medical information shared that would have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation if it was discussed in open session, that would allow you to go into closed session. Questions about open meetings before I move on?
When Tim sends out his end of the week, weekly updates, is that under BCC as far as how you send that? Or is that a problem as far as open meetings?
So that's sent to the Common Council, but again, as Crystal says, please do not reply all to that email.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yeah, so it's sent out, but the key is you can't discuss
Yeah.
it back and forth. Reply to everybody. The public records laws. So again, hoping that you guys come away being able to issue spot here. And if you have questions, if you get a public records request, you can absolutely reach out to Tim. And he and I will talk through it. But what is a record? It's any material on which written, drawn, printed, spoken, etc., has been created or is being kept by an authority. So some of the trickier things, it includes text messages, videos, social media pages, emails, metadata. So in my opinion, the public records laws really have not kept up with all of the electronic records that are created by any municipality these days. And so when you are using, if you're texting back and forth with Tim about something, you're creating public records, you have an obligation to maintain those for 7 years. Some people say, well, I think my cell phone company does that. So just be alert. Social media pages as well. So if you are using social media to talk to constituents or to talk to the public about something that's going on with the city, you are likely creating a public record that you now need to maintain. Okay, so even if you're private messaging on social media, public record. If they are responding to a post that you've put out there, it's very likely a public record. So keep in mind when you're using social media, if you are talking about city business, you are likely creating a public record. We have a few things that are excluded from what's defined as a record. Drafts, notes, purely personal documents, but those are all very narrowly construed. So, the example I put on here is if the city administrator distributes a draft human resources manual, distributed to the common council for review, it's not a draft anymore for purposes of the public records laws. It would need to be disclosed, even if you make changes to it later on. If it's something that's being presented to you, we can't say it's for Tim's personal use. Even if it's watermark draft, it's not gonna matter. So it is going to be subject to disclosure. If you are taking down some notes about what I'm saying right now, and you intend to keep those for your personal benefit, I would say that that is not a record. So we have some city code language that helps us define who is responsible for which records that we maintain at the city. In general, we're maintaining those records for 7 years from the date of creation. Each elected official is the legal custodian of his or her records. And the records of your office, you can designate it to the city clerk to act as the legal custodian. And then we have all these different authorities. So for example, the library, our designated legal custodian is the library director. So she is responsible for maintaining the records related to the library. Our city clerk retains our general city records, and so on. But what this means for you is if you're using, for example, personal email accounts, or back to your social media and your text messaging, city staff really can't help you with that. They don't have access to those systems. They don't have access to your personal email accounts. So you have an obligation independently to be maintaining those records. And I would encourage you to be using your city email address for corresponding about city business. Please don't use your personal account only because it makes responding to records requests very difficult.
Crystal? All of these, the messages we get from Tim, you know, how long should we keep that?
So, like emails,
Yeah,
so because those are on city email addresses, the city is maintaining those
Okay.
records.
Okay.
Yeah, Alder Penquitz, Dave has a email archive system that archives all city emails.
okay,
And that's one of the benefits of using your city account,
yeah,
right? Because the city can maintain that record for you.
okay.
Yep. Any other questions? All right. The request itself. It can be oral or written. So if somebody says to Alder Tauschek, hey, can I get a copy of XYZ? You can't say to them, well, you need to put that in writing. No, you can't say that. What you should do is direct them to the city clerk, because it's very likely that they're asking for a document that you aren't the legal custodian of. If they ask you for your email that you sent to the mayor last week about, I don't know, the cheese counter, then you might have to supply that. But if you're using your city email, city staff can help you respond to that request. But we can't require that the requester put something in writing. We have to consider it a records request even if it's made orally. It needs to be reasonably specific as to subject matter or length of time covered. It's common to see records requests that are asking for all emails related to whatever project between January 1st of 2024 through today's date, for example. So, you know, roughly years and years worth of time. And really, when the courts analyze that, they're looking at it as on a case-by-case basis about how, it doesn't matter how many records are produced necessarily, but whether the request itself was narrowly tailored as to subject matter and length of time. They don't have to tell you why they're asking for it. So there's no requirement, and we can't demand that the requester state a purpose. Why do you want this record? Why are they asking for that? They don't have to give us a reason. And they can be anonymous. So I've seen lots of anonymous records requests or from made-up names that they submit the request and say, I'd like this, these electronic records, please send it to this email. we can't say, well, you need to tell us who you are and why you need this. And they don't have to say that the request is made under the public records laws. A lot of times I'll see requests come in that say, well, I'm making a FOIA request. So FOIA is for the federal government, doesn't apply to you guys. But we know that they're asking for a record, and so we can't say, well, you didn't cite the correct laws related to Wisconsin public records laws. We know what they're asking for. They don't have to have magic language saying FOIA or public records laws. If they're asking for a record, it's a request. So responding, what do we do? Well, response is mandatory. A lot of times we'll see requests that say, and I need this within 3 business days. We don't have to respond within the amount of time demanded by the requester. The law says that we need to provide the records as soon as practicable and without delay. If they are asking for a 1-page form document, that is going to be relatively easy to locate and provide. If they are asking for that year and a half worth of emails on something, that is going to take a lot longer to go through. And part of the reason that we need to take our time with responding is that we need to review the records that are being disclosed, and sometimes we need to redact things. There are certain things that are required to be redacted by law, and other things where the public interest in non-disclosure may justify not providing that information to the public. So whenever I get a records request, there's this 4-step analysis. And step 1, is there a record, right? Sometimes our analysis ends there. You don't have a record meeting the request. That's easy. You get to respond to the requester. There are no records meeting your request. If there is a record, we need to move to step 2. Are they entitled to access? The answer is almost always yes there. Almost always, yes, they're entitled to access. Again, our presumption is they're entitled to access. Step 3 is requester prohibited from accessing the record pursuant to statute or court decision. So some things that they may not be able to access. We have our HIPAA laws and our privacy laws that way. So those are things that we would either withhold from disclosure. We have to tell them, yes, we have this record, but no, we're not disclosing it to you because it is covered under HIPAA. Step 4, does the balancing test weigh in favor of prohibiting access to the record? So if our answer is yes to step 1, step 2, I guess no to step 3, and then step 4, we use the balancing test. And that really is whether the public's interest in non-disclosure outweighs the public presumption that they're entitled to it. So sometimes we will see under step 4 that there might be information in a personnel file, for example, where it would have a chilling effect on the city's ability to hire new employees if everything in personnel files was just readily open to the public. It's a case-by-case analysis, so we don't have a blanket policy that says no requester ever gets information from a personnel file. It doesn't work like that. We have to go through the 4-step analysis for each request that we get and make a determination. We have to provide justification to the requester if we're not going to provide the record, and we have to notify them that they have the ability to file a mandamus action compelling the city to release the record. So what should you do if you get a records request? If it's an easy one that you don't have concerns about, provide the record. I haven't seen any requests recently that are asking for anything other than electronic records. So it's very possible that you might have the record, you can provide it to the requester. If you need help with responding, you should let the requester know you received the request. Our court cases tell us that communication is really important, so make sure that the requester knows you've received the request and it's in process. And then you can kind of take a minute, get in touch with the city administrator, pull city staff in on responding to the request and get some help. Again, with the emails, so city staff can help if you get a request for your emails, but you've got to be using your city email addresses. And Anna can help with any general city documents as well. If you get a request and you're concerned about confidentiality or whether it's something you should or should not disclose, reach out. We can work through the analysis with you. And then I just have a few additional resources. I look at these publications a lot, and they're up to date. So these are published by the Department of Justice. So they have the Wisconsin Open Meetings Law Compliance Guide and then the Public Records Law Compliance Guide as well. So if you want, 60 or 70 pages and all this citing information, those are good resources to take a look at. So that is what I have for you tonight. Unless there's any questions, and if you think of something later, feel free to reach out and get your questions answered.
Thank you, Crystal. The only thing I would add is that each council member does not individually reach out to the city attorney, that we process that through Tim, our city administrator, and Tim will reach out. We do not, as council members, talk directly to the city attorney until such time as it's necessary to coordinate that. So your request should go through Tim. Thank you very much.
Another question I have. Just the word record also, I think with the word record. Is there any situations that happen where a telephone call is recorded and becomes record?
Well, probably a little beyond our scope today. Wisconsin is a one-party consent state, so theoretically, you could record a call that you're having talking about city business. If you do that, then yeah, it's probably creating a record.
Yeah.
Unless you can argue it's for only your personal use, but if you share it with anybody else, yeah, it's a record.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Moving on to item B, the mayor hereby appoints and asks for confirmation from the council on the appointment of Dana Hockey to the Public Works Utility Committee. For purposes of this discussion, we have two standing committees, the Finance Committee and Utility Committee. One alder from each district is appointed to each committee. They each have 4 members, and Dana would be taking the place of Greg Hildebrand on the Utility Committee.
Are you looking for a motion?
Motion, yeah.
I would make a motion to approve that appointment to the Public Work Utility Committee.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. The next item is where we're going to go into closed session. We'll ask to clear the room. We will have a vote coming out of closed session for those in attendance if they want to stick around. Chair hereby entertains a motion to go into closed session for the following pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 paren 1 paren G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is
Oh, yeah.
Let the record show we're now back in open session. The chair will entertain a motion on the closed session item.
Mayor,
Alderman Tauschek.
I would make a motion to direct the city attorney and staff to pursue code violations against the property and take necessary actions to resolve it,
As they see fit.
as they see fit.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Clerk will call the roll on the motion, please.
Gilson,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Kowshik,
Yes.
Hockey,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Nestor,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Beckwith.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you all for coming. Chair entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
And second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes.